Today, as we continue talking about suicide, we're looking at what we can learn from suicide notes. Hi, I'm Dr. B, and I want you to fully enjoy life and experience the freedom that God desires for you and also those that are around you. Now, as we look at this difficult subject of suicide, I want you to know this is something I have helped many family members through after their loved one or friend chose to take their own life. As I've shared, serving as chaplain for the Army, Fire, EMS, and police in Missouri and Florida, over the past 37 years, I've been called out on many suicides. From my experience, I feel that suicide can be prevented. Maybe not in all cases, but many. Now, in this video, I want to share what we can learn from suicide notes. Only about 1/3 of those who die by suicide leave a note. As a counselor, I probably think about suicide more often than others. I have been trained to deal with the really tough situations and has allowed me to ask the difficult questions. I have read through several suicide notes and have seen them firsthand as a chaplain. In this video, I'm going to focus on 2 specific notes and suicides that I have been personally involved with. Also, I've done a lot of reading through others who have studied suicide notes for years. Now, in looking at the notes I've read over the past several years and the research others have completed, there seems to be a common theme. Let me share those common themes and try to learn from them to help others that may be contemplating suicide. The entire theme of most notes, normally we see a description of an intolerable position they are in at this time in their life. The theme that seems to be at the highest in those I've personally read and those reported on is, number 1, there's an apology and dealing with shame. Now, here are 2 notes I worked with personally. The first was when I was serving as pastor in Missouri. I received a call that one of my members' sons had shot himself. This was a great family of 6, dad, mom, and 4 boys. The boy that shot himself was the second son and only 11 years old. I met the parents at the hospital, and the doctor, who I knew, shared with me that the boy shot himself in the head with his dad's .380 handgun, but he still had a heartbeat, but suffered massive head trauma. They were flying him to a trauma hospital by helicopter, hoping to use the undamaged organs for transplant. The doctor asked me to drive the parents in my car the 30-mile trip to the new hospital. He asked me to share with them that the 11-year-old son was brain dead and wanted the permission to use his organs to save others. I made the mistake of agreeing and taking them alone. It was the most difficult 30 miles I've ever taken in my life. At one point, they were so distraught, I thought the dad was going to open the door and jump out of the car. Thank God he did not. When we arrived, they were working on the son and had shocked his heart so much it could not be used. They finally pronounced him dead, and I helped guide the parents through the next few weeks. We still do not know why he chose to die by suicide. He was an exceptional student in a gifted program and was distraught because he made a B on one of his classes. We do not know if that was the reason. He did leave a note, and I was the one that performed the memorial service. I had baptized the boy a year or so earlier because he chose to become a Christian. The father asked me to read the suicide note during the service, which I did. Here's what the note said. It was written in crayon with a couple of different colors. It appears he stayed home from school without the parents' knowledge. And during the day, he wrote the note in 3 different settings using different colors. Here's the contents from my memory of the note. He said, I killed myself for a reason no one knows but me. It is no one's fault, so don't feel bad. I love you, Mom and Dad. Then he signed it love and his name. So there is an apology. And then the second most common theme we see in suicide notes, too, would be affirmation of love and affection. Now, in this note I just read, he affirmed his love for his parents. And again, that seems to be a theme in many suicide notes. Now, here's another one I helped with in Florida a few years ago that actually was in the news for weeks due to how and when the 17-year-old died by suicide. He took a gun from a friend's house and got on the school bus. When he got off the bus at the high school, he shot himself in the school bus drop-off area. Now, I received a call from our dispatch, first asking me to go to the hospital because they planned to pronounce him dead in the ER. They wanted me there to help the parents. Then I was called to go to the high school to help the administrators know what to do next concerning the teachers and the students. We were able to pull together many of our local counselors to come to the school to be there for those who were struggling and also who wanted to talk about the suicide. Now, he left a note at home and also posted a comment on social media. Now, he began his note saying, I don't want anybody to think this was anyone's fault. So he too began with an apology. He also said in his note, for everyone that cares, I'm sorry that I left. I want all of you to know that I'm probably in a better place now. Then he said, I love each of you so much. So he also recited an affirmation of love and affection toward others. He then shares a common theme, which is the third common thing seen in suicide notes. Life is too difficult to endure. Now, in the 11-year-old's note, he shared, I killed myself for reasons no one knows but me. And that is a pretty good indication he was dealing with something that he felt he had no hope, and this was his only way out. In the 17-year-old's note, he shared, I have had depression for 4 years now. I have finally just coming to my breaking point. Life has its ups and downs, but I'm just stuck. I don't talk to anyone about how I feel because people have their own problems. I just desire not to deal with them anymore. Now, a fourth common theme in many letters would be suggestions of consolation and forgiveness. The 17-year-old shared, if nobody knows what really happens after death, why are all of you so scared to die? I'm not scared. He also said, if we are all going to die, why do we bother getting attached to people? Death is all around us. The more people I meet, the harder it is to say goodbye will be. So I choose to say goodbye now. In this note, and many others, try to give some type of reason. Many have said things like, I'm better off dead. Others have said things like, if you get sad, think that I'm now better off. There are others that write things like, please forgive me for what I'm about to do. Others, things like, sorry, I had to end my life like this. You will be missed. And then fifth, giving instructions for what's left behind. One guy wrote, my family can use my boat as they please. Many will leave like a last will and testament, dividing their things among those they care about, which leads me to number 6, hopelessness and nothing to live for. Most notes have this concept throughout. In the 17-year-old's note, he concluded, I could go on, but the time has come. For all the living, enjoy life while you're alive. He signed his name, and under his name, he simply said, good night. Now, my take on the notes I've personally dealt with and the study of suicide notes done by others, to me, concludes that since most notes contain some type of apology or shame, tells me that the person who died by suicide very well could have welcomed a possible alternative solution for what they were experiencing in life. So I suggest, if you fear a loved one may be considering suicide, ask the tough questions. What I've taught all my interns who have learned counseling through me, and what I do is ask the following questions if I sense suicidal ideation. I just simply ask, are you thinking about taking your own life? How would you do it? Do you have the means? If they said, well, I'm going to shoot myself, do you have a gun and bullets? Do you have a time you plan to do this? And if they say yes to these questions, you need to get them help immediately. You can get them to the ER, even call 911, and the police can Baker Act them. Now, I could spend hours on this subject, but feel this is a good start to understanding the notes people leave. In our next video, I'll be interviewing a recent client who lost her husband due to suicide. Then the final video will be devoted to how to help those who've had someone close to them die by suicide. My suggestion is to always listen to God and the internal thoughts He gives you about others. Then, even though it may feel uncomfortable, follow through with the tough questions. You could be saving a life. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If it was helpful to you, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you can always know when we post new content. Have a wonderful day as you continue finding freedom in your life.